There are very few star coaches in college football. Deion Sanders is most definitely one of them. When he first agreed to become the head coach at Colorado University, his doubters couldn't wait for him to fail. While he had success at the Division I FCS level with Jackson State, the competition in Division I FBS would be much tougher. 2 seasons later, Sanders has signed a 5-year, $54 million contract extension that makes him one of the highest paid coaches in college football. How did Sanders get to this point, and what does him signing a contract extension mean to the state of Colorado? Check out this video to find out. When Deion first signed to become Colorado's head coach, he had a lot of skeptics. While he had success at a lower level of football the previous 2 seasons, he was now at a higher level in more ways than one. He wasn't taking over a strong program, as Colorado had won only 1 game the year before. In fact, they hadn't finished over 500 since 2016. Another thing that had people doubting Sanders' chances of success was his choice of starting quarterback. He was bringing his son Shedeur with him from Jackson State. While Shedeur had thrown 70 touchdowns in only 2 seasons for the Tigers, there were major questions as to exactly how good he would be at Colorado. In fact, to many, Deion naming his son as the starter before the season even started smacked of nepotism. While many doubted Shedeur, those same people were anxious to see another transfer that Deion was bringing with him from Jackson State, Travis Hunter. Hunter was a 5-star athlete that could have went to any college he wanted. After graduating high school, he initially signed with Florida State. Later, he flipped his commitment to Jackson State. This is a controversial move because a 5-star athlete had never signed with a HBCU before. Later, Travis would say he decided to change schools because Coach Prime allowed him to play both sides of the ball. Along with Sanders and Hunter, as well as his son Shiloh, Deion brought an additional 8 players with him from Jackson State to Colorado. As far as the Colorado roster was concerned, Deion would make some unprecedented moves to get it to where he felt it needed to be. The team had 114 players on its roster. Almost immediately, Sanders cut 50 players from the roster that he felt didn't fit into his vision for the team. Additionally, another 20 players left on their own. In short order, over 60% of his roster was gone. Outcry from pundits across the country was loud and outraged. While teams had transfers and changes, nothing the size of what Sanders had done had ever been seen before. For people that already believed that Sanders wasn't a good hire in the first place, this is further proof that he had no idea what he was doing. What these people were failing to remember is that these players all were a part of a team that only won 1 game the season before. Obviously, some of them simply were not good enough to contribute to a winning roster at that level. Eventually, Deion would have 86 new players on his first roster. Additionally, he came up with a slogan that served as a warning to his detractors and to his team's opponents. "We coming." As the season got ready to start, there was a buzz around the Colorado program. Their first game of the season was on the road against the Texas Christian Horned Frogs. The Horned Frogs were a good team. They'd made it to the previous season's NCAA title game. Even though they got destroyed 65-7 by the Georgia Bulldogs, the team only lost 2 games that whole season. TCU was a 3-touchdown favorite in this game, as they were expected to win easily. Didn't work out that way. In a shocking upset, the Buffaloes won the game 45-42. Shedeur Sanders was sensational, setting a school record by throwing for over 500 yards along with 4 touchdown passes. Travis Hunter was equally outstanding. In 100-degree weather, he played both sides of the ball and was on the field for a ridiculous 144 snaps. He caught 11 passes for over 100 yards while also intercepting a pass on defense. Freshman running back Dylan Edwards contributed, catching passes for over 100 yards. 3 other receivers also caught passes for over 100 yards. While the running game was awful and the defense wasn't very good, those things were overlooked in the face of CU's unexpected win. All eyes nationally were now on the Buffaloes. Could they repeat this performance in their next game? Week 2 was a home game against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. This time, the Buffs won easily as they routed the Huskers 36-14. Again, Shedeur was outstanding, throwing for nearly 400 yards and 2 touchdowns. For the second straight game, he also had no turnovers. However, foreshadowing what was to come, he was sacked 8 times. As for Hunter, he once again was on the field for nearly the entire game, as he played both ways again. While he didn't have as good a game statistically this time, he still caught 73 yards worth of passes. Xavier Weaver was the top receiver with 10 receptions for 170 yards. While the defense was much better this game, the running game still was not good. After 2 really good games offensively, people across the nation were starting to believe the hype with CU. Meanwhile, critics continued to look on with a jaded eye. Week 3's game was another home game, this time against rival Colorado State. The Buffaloes won 43-35, but they had to go into overtime to get it done. Shedeur again stood out with over 300 yards passing to go with 4 touchdown passes. On the downside, he was sacked 4 times and also threw his first interception of the season. Meanwhile, Hunter got hurt on a cheap shot from a CSU defender and had to leave the game early. This injury would cause him to miss the next 3 games as well. While no receiver topped 100 yards, Weaver, tight end Michael Harrison, and wide receiver Jimmy Horn Jr. all caught touchdown passes. And what was now a recurring theme, the running game was awful, as it averaged only 2.8 yards per rush. On defense, the team played just well enough to win. Following their highly surprising 3-0 start to the season, Colorado was now the media darling. They were ranked nationally, and their bandwagon was gaining new members by the day. Along with that, Colorado was welcoming stars on the field to watch their games. During their home game versus Colorado State University, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Master P, and Offset all cheered on the Buffs from the sidelines. Prior to that same game, former NFL star Rob Gronkowski held a pregame party outside of the stadium. Also prior to that game, Lil Wayne performed his song Uproar on the field before taking his place on the Colorado sideline. After the victory, rapper Key Glock performed for the team in the locker room. We're going to take time out from the story to ask you to be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the notification bell, and repeat with our videos. Also, take some time to check out some of our other content on our channel. Now, back to our story. However, Week 4 would represent their stiffest test yet, as they would face the number 8 ranked Oregon Ducks. The Ducks were led by head coach Dan Lanning, who apparently was tired of hearing about how great the Buffaloes were. A clip of his pregame locker room speech prior to the game versus Colorado gave us insight into Lanning's mindset. Lanning told his team that, quote, the Cinderella story is over, unquote, that CU was playing for clicks and likes while his squad was playing for wins. Finally, he added that the game would not take place in Hollywood, but instead would take place on the field. Always an intense person anyway, all of those things are ramped up to an even higher level in this game. Lanning's attitude and demeanor during the game also spoke to how he felt about CU. Numerous times, camera cutaways during the game showed him taking extra glee in the beatdown that his team administered to the Buffs. He often went for it on 4th down, while also continuing to throw the ball late in the game with his team already up by multiple touchdowns. The final score of the game was 42-6 as Oregon won easily, and the game wasn't even that close. Sanders easily had his worst game so far as a CU Buff. He only threw for 159 yards and 1 touchdown. He was under constant pressure as soon as the game started, and he was sacked 7 times. The defense was no better, as they were overmatched by a dominant Oregon offense. While the Buffaloes were humbled by the loss, pundits who've been waiting for a game like this couldn't wait to say, "I told you so." They believed that this game was a true indicator of what everyone should expect from Colorado. The poor performance also allowed critics to again call into question everything that Deion had done with the program to that point. True enough, things would continue to get worse for the Buffs before they'd get better. While the team would only win 1 of their remaining 8 games, there were still some positive things to build on. While he was seemingly rushed and harassed on every snap, Shedeur Sanders was outstanding. Despite missing the last game of the season with an injury, he still threw for the second most yards, 3,230, and the second most touchdowns, 27, in school history. When he wasn't injured, Hunter was as good as advertised. Offensively, he had a 13 reception game. On defense, he was a shutdown corner who made his presence felt whenever he was on the field. As for Coach Prime, despite the fact that the team lost twice as many games as they won, going 4-8, he could still take a measure of pride in what his team had accomplished. They'd won 4 times as many games as the Buffs had the season before. Furthermore, they had 2 major building blocks in Shedeur Sanders and Travis. Finally, as he'd already proven the season before, Deion was not afraid to make changes to the team that he felt were needed. One thing that obviously needed to be done immediately was to fix the team's offensive line. On their best days, the line was merely adequate. However, more often than not, they acted like a sieve, as every defense they faced had a ridiculous number of pressures, sacks, and tackles for loss. They allowed Sanders to be sacked 56 times on the season, which was the second worst among bowl subdivision teams. Additionally, the defense also had to improve. They couldn't consistently stop teams, and the pass rush needed to get better too. Eventually, he brought in wide receiver LaJohntay Wester, defensive end B.J. Green II, and cornerback D.J. McKinney. All 3 of them would become starters as well as key contributors during the 2024 season. Perhaps most importantly, Coach Prime overhauled his entire offensive line. His biggest signing was 5-star offensive tackle Seaton. The fact that Seaton signed with CU when he had his pick of blue blood programs like Alabama and Ohio State to choose from was a huge win for Coach Prime. As the 2024 season began, to their newfound fans across the country, the Buffs were must-see TV. The networks agreed, as they tried to air as many of Colorado's games during prime time as they possibly could. Also, just like the prior season, the Colorado sideline was a who's who of famous people. The 2024 season would be a great one for Colorado. The team finished 9-4, and that was as many wins as the team had had in the last 3 years combined. It also was the second most wins that a Colorado squad had in over 20 years. Additionally, the team finished a season ranked at number 25 for the first time since 2016. Sanders again had an outstanding season passing. He set school records for passing yards, 4,134, and single-season touchdown passes, 37, as well as career touchdown passes, 64. Keep in mind that he accomplished that last part in only 2 seasons. Additionally, he was named the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year. He also won the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, which was given annually to the top upperclassman quarterback in the country. Travis Hunter had an exceptional season. While again playing nearly every game on both offense and defense, he caught 92 passes for 1,152 yards and 14 touchdowns. On defense, he had 4 interceptions and also forced the goal line fumble that clinched the win against Baylor. He became the first player in college history to win both the Chuck Bednarik Award, given to the nation's top defensive player, and the Fred Biletnikoff Award, given to the nation's best wide receiver. To cap it off, he was also awarded college football's most prestigious award, the Heisman Trophy, given annually to the best player in college football. While the offensive line's play was still not ideal, it was better than it was the previous year. However, the running game still struggled, and there were still some games where Sanders seemed to be under pressure every time he dropped back. On defense, the team improved as it had 12 more sacks and 5 more interceptions than the previous season. They also forced and recovered more fumbles. Colorado also went to their first bowl game in 4 seasons. After turning his program around, as well as winning twice as many games as the season before, even Coach Prime's harshest critics, including people like Paul Feinbaum at ESPN, had to give him some measure of credit. However, even though what he's done with the Buffs on the field in only 2 seasons has been great, Coach Prime's impact on the university, as well as the community surrounding it, may be even greater. First, Colorado sold out every home game in 2023 for the first time in program history. Keep in mind that this is a school that has played football for over 130 seasons. The impact of those sellouts spread to the local community. During the 2023 season, the impact of those sellouts spread to the local community. During the 2023 season, Colorado home games were estimated to have an economic impact of $113 million on Boulder, Colorado, and its surrounding region. In 2024, that number soared to $146 million. Sports bars surrounding the stadium absolutely love the Coach Prime effect, as businesses that had previously struggled to draw customers during Colorado Buffalo games were now packed to the gills with people. School enrollment increased 20%, with out-of-state applicants increasing by 18%. To put a dollar amount on those numbers, the annual cost of attending Colorado University is over $64,000. Over 38,000 students attend the school annually. If you assume that 8,000 of those are on full athletic scholarships or some type of scholarship of some kind, that means that the school brings in nearly $2 billion, not million, $2 billion a year in various matriculation fees. Also, under Coach Prime's leadership, the football team's collective GPA was over 3.0 for the first time in school history. On top of everything else, Coach Prime made a point of making an impact outside of the football program. To that end, he's immersed himself in the Colorado campus as a whole, as well as the greater Boulder community. For example, he served as guest lecturer for a class, was the keynote speaker at a conference, and spoke to students at both the campus's School of Business and its law school. As for his connection away from the campus, there's perhaps no better example than his relationship with Buffalo superfan Peggy Copham. Peggy is a 100-year-old woman who's been attending Colorado games since the 1940s. Coach Prime has gone out of his way to bring Peggy into the team's inner circle. She's become something of a national celebrity as a result. When she celebrated her 100th birthday in 2024, the entire stadium sang happy birthday to her. A clip of the event was played on ESPN. The team also fulfilled Coach Prime's promise to Peggy. Before the 2023 season, he promised her the team would make it to a bowl game. It took an extra year, but 2024 saw the promise come true. We'll give you one more story about the impact Coach Prime has had in the community. While making a local appearance, a man gave Deion a slip of paper. Upon looking at the paper, Prime discovered that it was a letter written by the man's son. In the letter, the boy, who's a local middle school 8th grader, talked about wanting to play football. However, he was encountering problems because he was being bullied. In response to the letter, Coach Sanders went to meet the boy while he was at school to encourage him. When the boy saw Coach Prime, the boy broke down in tears. After Coach's visit, Prime found out that someone had attempted to bully the boy again. This time, Prime invited the boy and his parents to the school to meet with him and his team. He also told his team that he wanted some of the players to visit the school with him to make sure the bullying didn't happen again. Instead of just one or two of the players going to the school, the entire Colorado football team went to the school to show support for the little guy. How cool is that? While $54 million is not a small sum of money by any stretch of the imagination, Colorado University got a bargain by getting Coach Prime to re-sign with them. Based on his economic impact alone, he could have asked for more money. For example, in 2023, the Colorado football program raked in nearly $48 million in ticket sales, parking, concessions, and merchandise sales. Also remember, ever since he first got to Boulder, a lot of people believed it was only a matter of time before he would leave CU for greener pastures. His re-signing shows his commitment to continuing to build the CU program. It's also allowed Colorado Buffalo fans everywhere to breathe a sigh of relief. It's safe to say that Deion will never have to pay for a meal or a beverage of his choice as long as he's in Colorado. For at least the next 5 seasons, the state gets to celebrate Coach Prime on the field while also appreciating and loving his impact off the field. Thanks for coming to check us out and listening to and watching our video. We hope you'll come back as we put out more content and also check out some of our other videos as well. Thanks again and see you soon.